We need that armor back up. Get me a forward view right now.
Plasma armor engaged.
All right, Tommy, see if you can lose him in that minefield.
Minefield?
Pedal to the metal right now.
Pedal to the metal. All right, let's go.
Galaxy Quest didn't just mock sci-fi fandom. It validated an entire generation of nerds and earned the ultimate tribute. Star Trek fans voted it the 7th best Trek film ever. Released on Christmas Day 1999, Dean Parisot's comedy about washed-up TV actors recruited by real aliens grossed $90.7 million worldwide, won the prestigious Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, defeating The Matrix and The Sixth Sense, and has only grown more beloved in the quarter-century since. What began as a cynical Hollywood comedy transformed through a turbulent production into something extraordinary, a film that playwright David Mamet placed among only 4 perfect movies alongside The Godfather. The film's journey from spec script to cultural phenomenon involved a last-minute director change, a contentious re-edit from an R rating to PG, and a cast whose chemistry masked initial creative tensions. Understanding how Galaxy Quest became what George Takei calls a chillingly realistic documentary requires examining every step of its unlikely creation. From Captain Starshine to an instant greenlight. The genesis of Galaxy Quest began when playwright David Howard attended an IMAX presentation featuring a trailer narrated by Leonard Nimoy. The experience sparked an idea. What if actors typecast by a beloved science fiction series encountered the very aliens their show had inspired? Howard's resulting spec script, titled Captain Starshine, caught the attention of producer Mark Johnson, whose credentials included winning the Academy Award for Best Picture for Rain Man. Johnson found the concept fascinating, but disliked the execution. So he hired screenwriter Robert Gordon to completely reimagine it. Gordon titled his draft Galaxy Quest: The Motion Picture, a deliberate reference to Star Trek, the motion picture, and submitted it to DreamWorks in 1998. The studio greenlit the project immediately. Director Harold Ramis signed on in November 1998, envisioning a cast that hadn't appeared in science fiction. His first choice for the lead was Alec Baldwin, who declined. When DreamWorks pushed for Tim Allen, Ramis disagreed so strongly that he departed the project in February 1999. Within 3 weeks, Dean Parisot, an NYU Tisch graduate who had won the 1988 Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film for The Appointments of Dennis Jennings, took the helm. A cast forged through creative tension and coffee jitters. Principal photography ran through spring and summer of 1999, with a budget of $45 million. The ensemble cast brought together dramatically different acting philosophies that initially created friction but ultimately produced electric chemistry. Alan Rickman, a Royal Academy of Dramatic Art graduate and Royal Shakespeare Company member, approached his role as the bitter Shakespearean actor Alexander Dane with characteristic intensity. He'd earned a Tony nomination for Les Liaisons Dangereuses and famously played Richard III on stage, a detail directly referenced in his character's dialogue. "I played Richard III. There were 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once, damn it. Now look at me." Tim Allen's approach couldn't have been more different. "I was a concert comic doing penis jokes right up to action," Allen later acknowledged, while Rickman engaged in voice stretching and all that kind of prep. The contrast was so stark that Allen wrote in The Hollywood Reporter after Rickman's death, "I don't think he liked me all that much when we first started shooting. I was coming into this group of very polished thespians." After one particularly emotional scene drained Allen, Rickman reportedly quipped, "Oh my God, I think he just experienced acting." Yet Rickman's discipline proved essential. Sam Rockwell, who portrayed the terrified crewman number 6 Guy Fleegman, recalled, "He was very instrumental in making sure the script hit the dramatic notes, and everything had a strong logic and reason behind it. The emotional climax where Dr. Lazarus delivers his catchphrase to a dying Quellic, transforming a running joke into genuine pathos, drew directly on Rickman's theatrical instincts."
You'll forgive my impertinence, sir, but even though we had never before met, I always considered you as a father to me.
Quellic, by Grabthar's hammer, by the sun's woven, you shall be avenged.
The women's role, the blonde wig, and the missing F-bomb Sigourney Weaver, who had adopted the stage name Sigourney at age 14 from a character in The Great Gatsby, lobbied intensely for her role as communications officer Gwen DeMarco. The original conception cast her as a science fiction virgin, which Weaver found absurd given her alien pedigree. She insisted the character needed to be blonde and have large breasts to capture the humor of a sci-fi production, and wore an enhanced bosom and blonde wig, which she kept after filming throughout. To me, she was what a lot of women feel like, including myself, in a Hollywood situation, Weaver later explained. Her character's signature moment comes during the infamous Chompers scene, where the absurdly dangerous corridor prompts her outburst. In the theatrical release, DeMarco yells, "Well, screw that!" But audiences can clearly see Weaver's lips mouth. Well, fuck that! Weaver deliberately made the dubbing obvious as a form of protest against the changes forced by the rating cut. The most memorable surviving line, delivered amid the death trap corridor, "Whoever wrote this episode should die." How DreamWorks screwed up their own movie. After principal photography wrapped, DreamWorks executives found themselves confused by the finished product. Producer Mark Johnson recalled that the studio was confused by the film. It was not what they expected from the script they greenlit. Nevertheless, they pushed forward because they needed a Christmas release to compete with Columbia Pictures' Stuart Little. Then Paramount's The Rugrats movie became a surprise hit, and DreamWorks pivoted dramatically, pushing to recut Galaxy Quest for younger audiences to compete with the animated film. The original version had received an R rating according to producer Lindsay Collins and Weaver herself, who recounted, "There actually used to be an R-rated version of that movie, which was awesome. It was the director's cut, and it was R-rated, and everybody was swearing, and there were sex scenes." Significant footage was cut to achieve a PG rating. A seduction scene where DeMarco tricks two alien guards, explaining why her uniform suddenly appears unzipped later in the film. Kinky crew quarters for Dr. Lazarus. Tim Allen called the set design a proctologist's dream and nightmare. Writer David Howard identified the conflict. There were two factions, one that wanted to make it more edgy and hip, and another who wanted to make it more family-friendly. The marketing compounded the problem. DreamWorks devoted minimal advertising to the Christmas release, and the primary trailer used footage before visual effects were completed. A decision producer Johnson felt cost the film significantly. The result? Galaxy Quest opened in 7th place at the box office on Christmas weekend 1999, despite its holiday placement. Word of mouth turned disaster into phenomenon. Unlike virtually every other theatrical release, Galaxy Quest's box office numbers climbed during subsequent weekends, rather than declining. Word of mouth drove audiences to theaters as viewers discovered a film that transcended parody. Johnson stated bluntly, "We never felt the campaign did the movie justice. The movie was successful with over $90 million in earnings, but this film should have done twice that." The final worldwide gross of $90.7 million, $71.6 million domestic, $19.1 million international, doubled the production budget. But the film's true commercial success came through home video. Johnson specifically noted that the home video sales were incredible, and it was through VHS and DVD that Galaxy Quest built its devoted following. Critical reception proved equally strong. Roger Ebert awarded 3 out of 4 stars in the Chicago Sun-Times, praising how the movie's humor works best when the illogic of the TV show gets in the way. The New York Times' Lawrence Van Gelder called it an amiable comedy that simultaneously manages to spoof these popular futuristic space adventures and replicate the very elements that have made them so durable. Rotten Tomatoes now shows a 90% approval rating from 132 critics, with the consensus, intelligent and humorous satire with an excellent cast. No previous Trekkie knowledge needed. The awards that proved sci-fi fans got it. At the World Science Fiction Convention in 2000, Galaxy Quest won the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, defeating formidable competition, The Matrix, The Sixth Sense, Being John Malkovich, and The Iron Giant. Writers David Howard and Robert Gordon accepted the award, moved that the science fiction community understood their intentions, that Galaxy Quest was a Valentine, not a mockery. The film also won the Nebula Award for Best Script and earned 10 Saturn Award nominations, including Best Science Fiction Film, Best Director, Best Actress for Weaver, and Best Supporting Actor for Rickman. Tim Allen took home the Saturn Award for Best Actor. Playwright and filmmaker David Mamet would later include Galaxy Quest in his book Bambi vs. Godzilla as one of only 4 perfect films, alongside The Godfather: A Place in the Sun and Dodsworth. The ultimate validation came from the franchise Galaxy Quest lovingly satirized. Patrick Stewart initially avoided the film, having heard it mocked Star Trek. Then co-star Jonathan Frakes called him, "Dude, I just saw a movie that is about us and captures us, like they've been reading our mail." Stewart's subsequent experience transformed his view entirely. "I found it was brilliant, brilliant. No one laughed louder or longer in the cinema than I did. The idea that the ship was saved, and all of our heroes in that movie were saved, simply by the fact that there were fans who did understand the scientific principles on which the ship worked, was absolutely wonderful. And it was both funny and also touching in that it paid tribute to the dedication of these fans." George Takei offered perhaps the most effusive praise. "I think it's a chillingly realistic documentary. The details in it, I recognized every one of them. I was rolling in the aisles, and Tim Allen had that Shatner-esque swagger down pat. And I roared when the shirt came off." And Sigourney rolls her eyes and says, "There goes that shirt again." How often did we hear that on the set? William Shatner responded with characteristic deflection, pretending not to recognize the character clearly modeled on him. "I was trying to understand who he was imitating." Tim Allen noted they became friends because of this movie. Will Wheaton called Galaxy Quest the best Star Trek movie that was ever made, adding, "The only thing I wish they had done was cast me in it and have me play a freaky fanboy who keeps screaming at the actor who played the kid about how awful it was that there was a kid on the spaceship." At the 2013 Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, fans demanded Galaxy Quest be added to the official ballot ranking all Star Trek films. They voted it 7th out of 13 entries, ahead of Star Trek 2009, Generations, Nemesis, Insurrection, The Final Frontier, and even Star Trek Into Darkness, which came last and was met with boos when it was mentioned. By 2015, Galaxy Quest seemed destined for revival. On April 21, 2015, Variety reported Paramount Television was shopping a TV series adaptation with original writer Robert Gordon, director Dean Parisot, and producers Mark Johnson and Melissa Bernstein. On August 27, 2015, Amazon Studios officially announced development of a 10-episode series that Parisot described as one long movie with a 3-act structure. The concept would jump forward 15 at 20 years, finding the characters even more pathetic. Tim Allen's Jason Nesmith would attend Comic-Con believing they were reviving the series, only to learn it was being handed to younger actors, a meta reboot of a meta parody. The original script focused heavily on the relationship between Nesmith and Alexander Dane. Allen later revealed, "It was a fabulous script. It was all about Lazarus and Taggart. It was all about their story." Then, on January 14, 2016, Alan Rickman died of pancreatic cancer at age 69. He had suffered a minor stroke in August 2015, leading to the diagnosis, but kept his terminal condition private. He died at his London home on Westbourne Terrace. Tim Allen spoke to The Hollywood Reporter shortly after. "Galaxy Quest is really close to being resurrected in a very creative way. The real kicker is that Allen now has to be left out. It's been a big shock on many levels." Sam Rockwell confirmed on the Nerdist podcast in April 2016 that the project had been on the verge of production. "We were ready to sign up." And Alan Rickman passed away and Tim Allen wasn't available. He has a show, and everybody's schedule was all weird. It was going to shoot like right now, and how do you fill that void of Alan Rickman? That's a hard void to fill. Attempts to revive continue a decade later. Multiple revival attempts have followed Rickman's death. August 2017 brought comedian Paul Scheer as the new writer, envisioning a serialized adventure that starts where the film ends. That version stalled when Paramount TV president Amy Powell was fired in 2018. June 2021 saw Succession writer Georgia Pritchett and actor Simon Pegg announced for yet another attempt. In October 2025, Sigourney Weaver revealed at New York Comic Con that Benedict Cumberbatch had been discussed as a potential replacement for Rickman's role, but acknowledged, very hard to come back to it without Alan there. April 2023 brought news that Paramount Plus and Paramount Television Studios had begun early-stage development with Mark Johnson attached. As of December 2025, following the Paramount-Skydance merger, the project remains on the development slate and is reportedly still being written. The 2019 documentary, Never Surrender, a Galaxy Quest documentary, premiered at New York Comic Con on October 5, 2019, receiving theatrical release through Fandom events on November 26, 2019, in approximately 600 theaters. Directed by Jack Bennett and produced by Fandom Screen Junkies, the 87-minute film reunited Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Sam Rockwell, Tony Shalhoub, Daryl Mitchell, Justin Long, Enrico Colantoni, and director Dean Pariseau alongside celebrity fans, including Will Wheaton, Brent Spiner, and Damon Lindelof. The documentary's final 15 minutes focused on Alan Rickman, with cast members sharing emotional memories. Justin Long wrote on the 5th anniversary of Rickman's death, "When I got to work with Alan Rickman on Galaxy Quest, I was a very wide-eyed young actor doing my very first movie. It spoiled me. He treated everyone the same. He always sat and ate his lunch with the crew. He'd stay and do off-camera for the other actors, even if he was just giving them a look in the scene." Missy Pyle, who played the Thermian Leliari, recalled, "Alan Rickman always made time for everybody. He would come and sit with the Thermians every day at lunch and just was a kind, generous, lovely human." Sigourney Weaver expressed what many fans feel. "I would buy Galaxy Quest with the cutscenes added back just to see Alan doing some of those scenes. This was a very sophisticated picture, and they could have had a wider audience with the more adult take on the Star Trek of it all." She added wistfully, "Blondes definitely have more fun. I loved being a starlet. I miss my breasts, I miss my blonde hair, I miss my insecurity." Before we continue, quick question. What's your favorite Galaxy Quest moment? The Grabthar's hammer line? The Chompers scene? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into one of sci-fi's most beloved films, hit that subscribe button. We've got more documentary content coming your way. Why By Grabthar's Hammer still echoes the catchphrase, By Grabthar's Hammer. By the Sons of Warvan, You Shall Be Avenged was originally a placeholder. Writer Robert Gordon planned to replace Grabthar with something less inherently comic, but the production crew began using it around their offices and printed it on t-shirts. The temporary line became permanent. The phrase's genius lies in its dual delivery. Early in the film, Rickman delivers it with withering contempt. By Grabthar's hammer. What a savings, as Alexander Dane suffers through yet another convention appearance. By the climax, when the devoted Thermian Quellic dies in his arms, Rickman transforms the same words into a genuine vow of vengeance, his voice breaking with emotion. The arc mirrors Leonard Nimoy's real journey with Spock, documented in his books I Am Not Spock in 1975 and I Am Spock in 1995. Initial resentment to evolving into profound acceptance. Rickman himself understood what made the role work. "I love comedy almost more than anything. This really is one of the funniest scripts I've read. Actors are probably the only professionals who send themselves up. We actually have a sense of humor about ourselves." Galaxy Quest's remarkable prescience has only become clearer with time. The film depicted 1990s convention culture with documentary accuracy before mega conventions like San Diego Comic-Con became mainstream cultural events. More significantly, it portrayed obsessive fan knowledge as heroic. The detailed understanding of a fictional universe literally saves the day. This validation preceded and predicted fan movements that would resurrect canceled shows like The Expanse, Veronica Mars, and Arrested Development, the complete mainstreaming of geek culture, and the complex relationship between franchises and their passionate communities. Esquire's Matt Miller wrote in 2019, "The film absolutely holds up as one of the best sci-fi satires ever made, one that challenges our obsession with massive Hollywood franchises, the nature of fandom, and some of the more problematic cliches of the genre. But it does so with a self-aware empathy that makes it an enduring and lasting entry in not only science fiction, but American film as a whole." J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot borrowed heavily from Galaxy Quest's sense of fun. Seth MacFarlane's The Orville uses the same formula of affectionate parody combined with genuine storytelling. In 2024, Paramount officially acknowledged the film's honorary status by adding the NSEA Protector and its crew to the mobile game Star Trek Fleet Command. Galaxy Quest succeeded because it understood something fundamental. The line between loving something and mocking it depends entirely on perspective. The same obsessive attention to continuity that makes fans demanding also makes them the only people who could save a ship facing actual alien threats. The same actors who resent their typecasting also owe their communities and identities to those roles. Director Dean Parisot stated that, "Part of the mission for me was to make a great Star Trek episode, and he succeeded, creating a film that works simultaneously as comedy, adventure, and meditation on the nature of storytelling itself." The tragedy of Alan Rickman's death means we'll likely never see the Alexander Dane-focused sequel that was days from production, but his contribution to the original remains indelible. The Shakespearean actor who learned to mean what he'd spent years saying sarcastically. 25 years later, Galaxy Quest stands as both time capsule and prophecy, a film that captured a moment when fan culture was still marginalized, while predicting its inevitable cultural dominance. When Patrick Stewart described how the dreamers and the dream become the same thing, he articulated why this scrappy, troubled production endures. It took an entire community's love seriously, and that community returned the favor.